and front and back, were the two most important for flight training. So that's what we developed. This actually led us to being selected by the dean of the college to present at his advisory board dinner, which was a couple weeks later. And we brought the simulator out there, and we let his advisory board conceived of a bunch of industry professionals. So we got to do this great networking opportunity. And from there, we really saw that there's might be a future with this. So we actually developed a business mentor there. He's was an Army general for 35 years, and now he works in the training, modeling, simulation, and training industry, working with the government contracts. So he's a perfect mentor for us, and he's been leading us down the path to make this successful. So after meeting him at that dinner, we decided that we could possibly have a really good thing on our hands, and it led to meeting all throughout the summer, really deciding if this is a viable product. So that drew us to become Talent Simulations. Here's a brief video of that I somehow put together on iMovie. Alright, so you got a brief understanding of what we put together, and Talent Simulations was formed. We're still not a registered company, but we are still a startup business to be classified. So the first meeting we had was with the dean. We sat down with him and we discussed what we could possibly do with this. He obviously saw something in it in order to invite us to the dinner. So the first thing he said was go to Launchpad. We've never heard of it. And these guys busted butts marketing this place and doing a great job of getting the word out there. And we finally got led here. And I described a little bit about what they do here before, but like I said, startup coaching 101 with one of the amazing coaches here. They have speakers like myself, which is honored to be here today. I've been coming here every week since May, and always looked up to some of the guys that have been up here, so it's awesome to finally be able to speak. Then different events around town. There was, I forget what we called it, but it was down at a coffee shop downtown. We had a couple of the student projects, the startups to pitch their idea. So it was a really fun event. A lot of people working on their startups came to the neighborhood and listened to what a couple of students are working on. So it was a lot of fun. It's great networking, and it's really helpful when you get people from all majors in here too. So you can have people that are marketing, engineers, and everything comes together. So you really sort of talk to each other about what you're doing, come up with ideas from other starters, and it's just a great community. So awesome to be part of it. And I mentioned earlier, we go off the business model campus. So before we go and spend a lot of money building something and trying to sell it, we want to focus in on the key aspects of the business. So I don't know if are any of you familiar with business model canvas? Well, there's a book called Lean Startup. It's like the first thing they'll tell you to read before you come in here. So I read it before I came in here, and it gives you a really good idea of what you need to know. and how you test the feasibility of your idea. So this is our initial canvas, and we sat down for hours trying to figure out what all these things meant because we never heard of any of them. But you just sit down, you do the research, and once you develop your initial canvas, you go ahead and test your initial hypothesis. So that's kind of, there's a method behind all this madness, and coming up with a hypothesis, and you go out and you lay out some metrics that you can test and to validate these hypotheses that you put down. So our original hypothesis was that there's demand for VR motion platforms among these different industries: flight schools, pilots, gamers, drivers, racers, and then unmanned aerial command. So we had all these ideas, and over the summer we went and tested that hypothesis. Basically, our original concept was general aviation. Obviously, we built a flight simulator. So we went and talked to a bunch of people that are in flight schools and what they think about this idea. We talked to some people in gaming. FIDA is a UCF grad program downtown that focuses on media, gaming. UAVs, like I said, unmanned aerial vehicles. Autonomous vehicles is another industry we looked into, and then ground transportation. So there was this whole notebook I have here just filled with interviews from meetings we had, all within the last 5 months. This was actually just over the summer that we did this. And that led us, after we reviewed all the information we got, that we need to focus on general aviation initially. It's a great place to gain traction. There's 60 flight schools within 50 miles of Orlando, and it generates $150 million in the U.S. So it's a perfect place to do it. It's a good time. There hasn't been any great significant innovations in the past couple of years. So this is what we're focusing on. Then you go back and revise your canvas. So now that you know a little bit more about your industry, you can go ahead and edit this. And well, you'll actually end up editing these almost on a weekly basis. Every time you talk to someone, you should edit. Save each draft, go back and look, like, what did I delete? Maybe this was a good idea, that kind of stuff. So it's really good to keep hold of those records. And the canvas is unbelievable. So that ended up leading us, after talking to those people, we ended up talking to a lot of very important people during that process. And one in particularly was the Associate Vice President of the Office of Research and Commercialization, which was something I didn't even know existed either back then. I spent 5 years here and didn't know about these resources. That led us to a brand new funding opportunity that's first time in Florida. It's called the I-Corps program, Innovation Corps program. And UCF just got the first Florida grant. I believe there's about 15 other universities. Is that right, Jack? 15, something like that. And it's really helpful to go test and validate the commercialization feasibility of your idea. So most of the time it will be used for university research. You're working professor as an undergrad or a graduate student, and you develop something innovative. Like the research you're doing is something no one's ever done before. So that's what this program is mostly used for, but also for ideas that actually have a little bit of traction, and though you can get into the program. But like I said, it's brand new here, brand new to Florida, so it's the first time we're doing it, but it's had a lot of great successes in other universities. So it's a 10-week workshop, and you'll be able to sit and learn about Lean Startup methodology. Like I said, it's a new methodology that's getting integrated these days, and everyone's seen a lot of success with it. So that has been very beneficial to my team and I, just having the mentors at Office of Research and Commercialization, because their job is to help with commercialization. So these experts you sit down with, and they'll help guide you on the right path, as well as get you some connections and resources with some of their other clients. So that's been really helpful. Jack has been my mentor back here and back, and he has led us to one of his colleagues' teams that he's working with, who make seaplanes or amphibious sea aircraft. So we got to go meet these guys, check out the manufacturing facility, and talk about training from the point of view of a manufacturer rather than a flight school. So that was another thing we were looking into, rather than just the training aspect for flight schools to get certified, but transition training, which is when someone wants to try out a new aircraft and fly on that. So we got some negative feedback from that perspective, but any feedback is good feedback. Yeah, because he said we probably wouldn't want this, so now we're not going to go spend the time focusing too much on that. We're going to continue on the path where we have positive feedback, which is with the flight school. So another thing that recently just opened is this Makerspace Lab complex, and it was developed by the College of Engineering and Computer Sciences organization, which is Eli Square, Engineering Leadership and Innovation Institute. Another thing that's only been around for a couple of years, but they've been working for the past 5 to 6 years developing this complex. And basically it consists of a gathering lab, which is just basically the atrium. It's nothing new. We've had it. There's whiteboards, tables out there. You can sit and talk to people, do homework, explore ideas, that kind of stuff. So it's a great area. Also, if you're not an engineer student, to go out and meet engineering students if you have an idea that you can help with. Then once you meet some people, come up with a basic idea, you go to the Idea Lab. This is a glass room. You can just see right through it. There's crazy seats in there, very cool lights, and it's just supposed to generate creativity. And you can learn a little bit about the creative process because there's a whole science behind it that you would never guess. But especially with engineers, they don't focus on teaching creativity or innovation too much. So that's the goal of this organization, is to create interest in becoming creative and learning those different processes and trying new innovative ideas. So it's a really amazing opportunity. Then the Idea Lab will lead you to the Innovation Lab. I'm actually one of the lab managers there, so working in there has been an amazing experience. Once you have an idea, you come to prototype the Innovation Lab. And it's a great area. You come in with a lot of workbenches, but you have some electrical components that you can do testing on. We have microcontrollers. Test Instruments is a sponsor. They donate a whole bunch of their electrical components. We have a 3D printer, which is perfect for rapid prototyping. It's free for students to use. And for the printer we have, it's about $50,000 printer, and material costs about $5 a cubic inch. And to give you an idea, most of the prints usually run about 5 to 10 cubic inches, so you're looking about 10 to 50 or $25 to $50 a print. And when you're doing rapid prototyping and you discover something that didn't work out as well as it did, you don't want to be spending that much money every time you need to iterate it. So it's an unbelievable opportunity for the students, especially when the manufacturing lab, which I'll talk about in a second, they charge $7 a cubic inch for material. So we're offering free 3D printing, unbelievable resource. We just opened about 3 weeks ago, so we're still trying to figure out all the procedures and processes, but students are starting to utilize it a lot more now. And I get to talk to every project that comes in there, mostly senior design projects. But what's been awesome is that some students are just coming in, checking it out, and I'll pick their brains a little bit, and I ask them what project they're working on. Like, nothing right now. I'm like, you don't have any ideas? And they'll finally be like, well, I mean, I think I was looking into wanting to build a laser cutter. Like, well, why don't we do it? Let's figure it out. And so now the kids doing all the process in a prototyping of a laser cutter. So you don't want to build a laser cutter right out front. You want to make sure that everything's going to go together correctly. And so that involves 3D printing, using cardboard and foam core board. We have all of this in the lab. So it's awesome that something we've never wanted to pursue before can actually be sought out now because of the resource of innovation. We have a laser cutter as well, so it cuts plexiglass and wood, and some engraving as well. So that's a really great opportunity. It's open to all students, not just engineering students. So we've had a couple of marketing majors come in, business, health and public affairs, a lot of different majors that are coming in there, which is perfect. And it's just, you can't be shy about anything on campus. If something intrigues you, go check it out. Go to a club meeting that you're interested in. Just people are friendly around here. You just gotta be a little open and go outside your comfort zone, because it's a huge campus. You're gonna meet new people every day, and no matter where you go to school at, especially a place with 6,000 people, it's important to be comfortable and confident and go explore. So a lot of people kind of are intimidated over in engineering and they don't know what goes on in there, but it's really important for the collaboration of interdisciplinary majors to come together, because that's really how magic happens and businesses form. Because you can't just have a bunch of engineers together trying to make business, because most of them are kind of introverted and focused on just the technical aspects of things. So you really need a team of a very diverse team of people. And then the manufacturing lab is a machine shop, and we have anything from drill presses, lathe, anything you could really need to machine. So once you're done prototyping, you can go in there, and usually you can charge for them to build what you need, or they can give you an orientation and you sign up a waiver, and then usually they're pretty cool having kids working there. And we're actually working on our next prototype now, so we have been doing a lot of hours in the lab. We got metal in last week, so I've been in there every morning. This week, it's just feel like I still smell like metal. So that's a great opportunity as well that I didn't even know about as an engineering student. I knew it was there, thought you needed permission to go in there, but when we started our senior design project, we walked in and told him what we're doing. He's like, yeah, I can get you guys in here working on all the machines by yourself. So we told him we all had experience. So next week, we were out in there and just drilling and cutting, and it was great. We wouldn't have been able to do it without them. The resources right here on campus, and we always had meetings on campus, and you can't beat it. So that's another example of just going and asking, because you can never receive if you don't ask. So that's been an unbelievable resource. Like I said, between the innovation lab and the manufacturing lab, we wouldn't have been able to build anything without the machine shop. So, and the guy that runs it, Tim, he's full of knowledge. There's three guys that work in there. So every time we needed help and aren't confident in using a machine or anything, they were there to support us and make sure we cut our finish up. So after all of that and working in here, actually I can't even remember how I heard about this place, I'll be honest. The FSBDC, Florida Small Business Development Center at UCF. It's not even actually at UCF, it's by Fashion Square Mall, about 20 minutes away. But they also have coaching, one-on-one coaching. And actually, I think I found out about it because there was an event that I went to there. It was the New Ventures Seminar Series. And it was the very first in a series of events, which the first event was free, and it was just basics to startup businesses. So they figured make that event free so you can learn about what you're about to get into, starting up a business, rather than find out that's not for you earlier rather than later. So it was really great. We went to that in about 3 hours, but we went over every aspect of what is involved in the startup business. And like I said, you don't learn this in engineering school, so it was really great for us to get out there. And basically going to these events that they have there, I think the other ones are about $30, but it's really great because it's 3 hours long. The coaches there are unbelievable, and they just really work with you. So that's a great resource as well. The New Venture Seminar Series, as well as Breakfast with the Experts, is another event, have industry professionals and everything. Very successful people, which is what's amazing too, because hearing stories about people that have succeeded from startups really encourages you to be persistent and continue what you're working on, because you want to be like them one day. It's sort of like having a mentor, looking up to somebody, and it's really influential. So that's a great resource. College of Business has a starter lab, kind of similar to the innovation labs, kind of for prototyping, building things, and just collaboration. So being able to come together, formulate ideas, test them out, and coaching as well. Awesome resource. I'm trying to get them to work more closely with us at Innovation Lab. But actually, since we've been open for the last couple of weeks, we've had even some people from Launchpad, some of the coaches sending people to Innovation Lab. So, which is perfect. These are people that aren't engineers, they need the help of engineers. And that's what we want to do. Maybe we don't always have the right idea, but we know how to actually build it. So, like I said, everyone needs to work together, and all the colleges on this campus really need to start collaborating a little more. They also have competitions throughout the semesters. These are in spring, but basically business plan competitions, that kind of stuff, with cash prizes. You meet a lot of really good people doing those. So another unbelievable resource that people need to take more advantage of. This is a big one, the Orlando Tech Community. Found out about these through meetup.com. Are any of you familiar with Meetup? A little bit. Well, it's a great resource when, maybe if you're not in school and you're looking for a group of people to do certain activities with. And kind of like a club, and people will have what they call meetups, but there's a whole range of activities. So if you're a pilot, you can go hang out with some pilots and talk about training and flights that you're doing. Gamers, they have competitions, anything you can think of, honestly. So there's a new organization here, maybe Orlando Tech Association. So they have a meetup every third Thursday of the month, and where Orlando startup tech ventures will come pitch their ideas to a group of other starters in the Orlando area, and then they'll ask them questions. So what's really great about this is the question section at the end, where other people, other starters that are creative and innovative and have the passion to be an entrepreneur are kind of questioning your idea and what you're building, which is, it might not always be the most positive comments, but that's really important. Also have the negative feedback so you can fix it, because you're talking to people that could potentially be using your product, and you want your product to be user friendly, you want people to like it, so you need to hear back from them. So they're working up to about 300 people being at these events. You're really getting a lot of exposure by presenting there. They also have sporadic events, like co-working events. So just another place where you come together with your work and talk to other people working on things and sort of poke your ideas back and forth. So that's a lot of fun, and you, like I said, you meet a lot of people, and networking is huge. I'm sure you hear that all the time. Not even just getting to college, but getting a job these days. It's knowing people. It's the biggest thing. And going to these events is really how you meet people. People that can help you, people that want to help you. And it's unbelievable the amount of help someone's willing to give when you tell them that you're a student. People are really willing to go the extra yard to help with pursue what you're doing. They recently had Tech Week, which was about a week full of just there's some conferences, really big people came, very successful entrepreneurs came and talked. They had a big meetup, and these are just fun events, and then you can drink, but it's usually free beer. And to encourage people to come out and just socialize, because like I said, networking and connection with people here that are there to help you. Indienomicon is another meetup that's for gamers and people developing games. It's another great thing, especially if you're developing any sort of game. You can go and pitch your idea to gamers, and they can sort of poke holes in it, so you can learn from it and develop something that people will buy. So that's really good. Actually, Orlando Tech and Indienomicon teamed up for Tech Week, so at that meetup there was people from both. 1 Million Cups is a very similar thing. It's basically you go and pitch your idea. It's over at Rollins College. You guys are familiar with that, and it's just a good place for the same exact thing. You have people poke holes in your idea, they'll learn about it, or maybe not even poke holes in it, but reinforce what you're doing. And this is something people will want to buy. Melrose Center is another unbelievable resource. I found it through one of the, actually I heard about it through Indienomicon, and then I actually went there for one of the tech meetups, or Tech Association's co-working events. So I went there. It's at your Orange County Public Library, straight in the heart of downtown Orlando, and it's free for Orange County residents. Basically, they have all the top-of-the-line production equipment. There's a professional video studio, professional photo studio, professional recording studio, even a simulation lab. So they have a flight simulator in there. They have ground translator and the two construction. So these studios or the labs, up to like 3 to 4 hours, depending on what lab it is, and utilize it. And you'll go through an orientation. You have to take an assessment, and then you can take classes on how to use all the equipment. So they really try to help you learn about all the stuff they have there, so you can utilize it to its full extent. And I've never worked with video, but I've been going in there, getting crew to work on it, going through all the orientations. I can work in the photo studio now, but I still have a couple more classes for the video studio. But I'm going to learn about it, and that way I don't need to pay someone to do our marketing. And I mean, you saw that video, I could use a little help with marketing. But now we're going to have the people you meet here too are more than willing to assist you. I've been down there a couple times, and every time I've been there, I've met someone that can help me on my venture. One guy I ran into that I actually presented here, he does, he helps assist with business startups. He's had about 12 successful startup ventures that he's guided people towards. And so now I've been sitting down with him talking about what we're doing, and he's leading me down the right path through what books we need to read, different methods to follow, especially with startup founder dilemmas and that kind of thing. Because we have 5 of us. Now we kind of have 4, but all those tricky aspects, he's really helping me get through that, and the legal aspect as well. And then another guy who just happens to have an FAA connection. I can finally get a hold of someone to an FAA that can help us discuss the possibility of getting this certified. So, like I said, just getting out there, getting out of your house, your classroom, getting out in the field, going places, meeting people. It's really the only way to succeed. And have people give you advice. So as many people as possible. So everyone has different opinions on everything. It's also a great area if you're not interested in using any of that stuff. This is a great area to go work. It's a huge open area. They have all the professional equipment you can, or software you can use, the entire Adobe package, all free to use. Like I said, an Orange County resident. Otherwise, I believe it's about $30 for the membership to Melrose. But all top of the line equipment, all high end. It's amazing. The first time I walked in there, I'm like, am I allowed to be in here? Is this free? This is insane. And I still think that every time I walk in there, it's just, I'm also a musician, so having access to this professional recording studio free, is unheard of just because of the expenses that come with renting out a studio. So, and of course, you get to learn about how to use all the high-end equipment that you never thought you would ever be able to touch. So, great resource, great place, and it's always exciting going down there. So where has this led us? We've used all these resources, we've talked with all these people, and I've talked with that, we've had some, a few accomplishments, but what were they? We got invited to present at 2 trade shows that we have to pay nothing for. We will be presenting at other people's booths that they thought would be a perfect representation for what they're doing. So ITSEC is in December, and that is the world's largest modeling, simulation, and training trade show right here in Orlando at the Convention Center. So that being out on that floor is a huge opportunity for us. It's going to be amazing. 14,000 people. I don't think we really know what we got ourselves into, but that is where we will be presenting our next prototype, which we're really excited about because for some reason we didn't make our senior design project very portable, and it doesn't fit in normal size doorway. So carrying that around and figuring out how to bring it places is not fun. So that I'm really excited about the next one because it can move around on wheels, it fits a standard size doorway, and it's going to be a lot more efficient and reliable. So this is where we'll be making the big debut right at its end in December. So we're still building. We got about 6 weeks left, and before the trade show, so it's crunch time. Electronicon is at the Orlando Science Center. Have you any of you been there? Orlando Science Center. That's an awesome place. I recommend going there. Just they have a lot of fun things to play with, and Electronicon will be there, and it's interactive media conference or an expo. So this is where we'll sort of be marketing toward the gamers. So you have a lot. There's some gaming competitions go on there as well. So really, it's we will fit in there, and we'll be able to see if it's something people want to buy, bring home, that kind of stuff, rather than just for flight schools. Mentors. We've had some really successful people that have been willing to take their time, sit down with us, and talk about their experiences, their failures, their accomplishments, so we can learn from them. So, like I said, our primary business mentor is an ex-brigadier general, and now he works in the very respected individual in the training and simulation industry. He's on the Dean's Advisory Board, which is where he met him. And somehow, everywhere we go, we tell people, we name drop him, and like, oh yeah, General C, we know him. So it's unbelievable having him on board, him taking all the time and effort to make sure we're successful. And he's gotten us into some really big meetings with some very successful people. So we wouldn't be anywhere without him, honestly, and it's been amazing. And just him leading us to the meetings we've had have led us to other people advising us as well. So after we met with a whole group of people, we went and circled around them again. So not only did we meet with these people once, but we've gone and updated them on our progress and tell them that we've actually have listened to the advice they say. So we got commended for that. There's one thing, you can go and talk to people, but if you don't actually listen to them and do your own thing anyways, then what's the point? So we got recognized for actually implementing the advice that people have given us, and that's really important. And that's one reason a significant amount of startups fail, is because you're not humble and you think you know everything, and you don't take the advice that's given to you. So just in general, with anything in life, you want to be able to be open to opinions and advice in general. So that has been really good. The university has finally given us some recognition besides presenting at the Dean's Advisory Board, which is what sort of led us on this path. We got invited to showcase at the grand opening of the Innovation Lab, or the Makerspace. We were set up in the Innovation Lab. So we brought our simulator out, we were demonstrating it. There was hundreds of people there. The president of the university was there. Since Texas Instrument was a sponsor, they had some chief executives there and vice presidents. So it was an unbelievable experience. The team was there, and we got to catch up with him and tell him what we've been up to. That led us to get invited to another event, which we did earlier this week. The UCF, especially College of Engineering and Computer Science, they have different events and seminars, and they get some really successful people to come and speak. So those are always good to go to. That was something I didn't really mention, but not even just with that college, but some of the other ones, they're always getting industry professionals to come and talk about their experiences. Another great networking opportunity, great way to get a job, is to talk to the president of a company when they come to UCF. And these guys are donating money to the university as well as a lot of their time. So it's really good to go to those events. So recently this week, the president of Embraer, is the third largest commercial aircraft manufacturer in the world. He came and spoke, as well as the president of Aviation Week, which is one of the biggest magazines in the aviation industry. They came, did an hour-and-a-half presentation, and then we had our simulator out there demonstrating again while people were just wrapping up. And just that exposure was really great. We got to meet those guys. Once again, we got to sort of talk about what we're doing, hear their opinion on it, being in the aviation industry for 30, 35 years, and get the point of view from another manufacturer, a bigger manufacturer that sells nationally. So that was really great and an unbelievable experience. I got invited to present here, so that was another thing, and as well as tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a speech at the board of directors meeting tomorrow morning. So really just, it's been an unbelievable amount of recognition people are giving us, and our it's good that our hard work is getting shown and paying off. I also talked about the 3K grant, the I-Corps grant through Office of Research and Commercialization. That was a huge accomplishment for us. $3,000 would seem like a lot, but without it, we wouldn't be pursuing this even further. We wouldn't be building another simulator. Most of us probably would have just gone and gotten jobs rather than going back to school. It's really what has led us to continue this even further. And that is inspiring us to seek out further National Science Foundation funding there, because they're the ones that supply it. So there's a lot of opportunities, and we're just trying to learn as much as we can and take advantage of whatever we can. So there's a lot of opportunities like this. You just have to find them. And there's actually a presentation a couple of weeks ago where they talked about this, where there's university researchers that are trying to get grant proposals, and students should take advantage of that. That's really important. And that, like I said, that led us to our Beta 1 prototype. We're calling it Beta 1. We're doing a Beta 1, Beta 2 sort of method, where this one we're going to finish building and then have people start using it, specifically pilots, and get feedback. And then build another one and hope that that could be what leads us to the market. So we're not ready to jump to start selling these. That's the worst thing we can do right now. They don't look professional. They're just prototyping. So like I said, the lean startup methodology is sort of not spending a lot of money, not spending a lot of time. So building pretty much what they call a minimum viable product, MVP, and it's utilizing this least amount of money, but enough to prove the concept that you're doing. So we initially did that with our senior design project. We spent about $1,200 on building that, pretty much in the machine shop and in my garage. A lot of late nights there. And we're kind of doing the same thing now, the machine shop, but also it led us to developing a relationship with a company out in Longwood. It's a motion platform manufacturer. All they do is build platforms and sell them to people for different applications, amusement rides, flight simulators, different research. So they actually have partnered with us and are donating us a platform. And we've been working out at their facility in their warehouse, building this from scratch. And completely different than what we did for senior design. We basically took the cheapest components they usually get in a Radio Shack, and we're using that. We even used our motors were windshield wiper motors that have plastic gears. Not really the most efficient, but it was cheap and it worked out for senior design. Proved the concept. But now we're building an actual motion platform, something that can be sold and utilized, and real motors, real controls components, and the knowledge we've gained there has been priceless. It's been amazing. And I can even say that up to this point, after the 5 months, even if everything falls apart, what I've learned in this past 5 months has been absolutely amazing. Just by going out and talking to people. People you meet are most of them are a lot of fun, willing to help out students, like I said, and you never know what they might help you with or what kind of adventures they'll lead you on. So that's been a lot of fun, and it's going to lead to my private pilot certification that I'll be beginning in December. So I'm preparing for that. It's going to give us some more traction, and people will want to buy from someone that's a pilot if they're selling a trainer. So we go through the program and determine some of the challenges that students face during the program, so we can firsthand experience to really know ways to resolve that. And also, it's something I wanted to do, but it's going to be really fun that I probably wouldn't have pursued it if I didn't start learning this much about general aviation industry. So that's been a lot of fun and a great experience. So here's our next prototype. I don't want to reveal too much of it, but gave these pictures. This is our new control box. Some really high-end components. We wired the whole thing, and as a mechanical engineer, very little wiring experience, very little solder experience, but we put this all together. We made the cables that plug into each port that go into the computer, and we just did everything. So, and the guys at the motion platform company sort of led us down the right path when we were doing it, but sort of gave us a lot of freedom too, so we could learn things the hard way, because that's really how you learn things the best. But that has been an unbelievable experience doing the wiring of this, and these are the motors down here, a lot more powerful than windshield wiper motors, I'll tell you that. And like I said, it's been amazing. So this is all done, and we just got in the metal for the actual cockpit, and we started cutting and welding this week. So it's been a lot of fun. We're hoping it's up and running in the next couple of weeks, and the motion platform is done. So we tested this out, and I can tell you it was very nerve-wracking doing the tests with the wires to make sure they're all connected, because there's a lot of them. So yeah, you have a question?
Yeah, where do you get the funding for? Is that the 3K?
Yeah, it's 3K, but all of this.
Oh wow.
That motion platform company, we just walked in there one day, and
but all the engines and all that.
Yes, they build these for about $3,000. All these components they actually had laying around. They use this specific one for demonstration. Most of the time they have customers out there or a trade show, and so they took it apart and let us rebuild it. Basically, they got some new components though. They repainted everything, and this was rebuilt from scratch. But the actual platform, they're actually only donating it to us for a short period of time to present it to trade shows. So we have some negotiations to do probably at the end of our presentations. But I'm hoping there's enough like reinforcement at the end of those trade shows where they'll be more willing to work with us in the future. So it's been great, and working out there has been so much fun just as an engineer. It's an unbelievable experience and resume booster. So like I said, never know what people will give you if you just go and ask them. So this was something we just drove out there, and actually I contacted one of the owners beforehand, and Chief IDS, and showed us around. And it's cool because they make these small systems. They also make huge 6-degree of freedom platforms that are used for motion rides. So right now they're building 2 platforms for one ride. It's going to sync up to a video screen, and I think that's for a client in Brazil. But it's really cool because we're out there helping them with those as well. And it's all the basic same concept. They have a few more components, a little bigger, but they control the same amount, the same thing, it's the same program. And that's the one thing they won't share with us is their trade secret program. But that's been really cool. They helped us out. Another thing, I went over to actually there's a simulation company right down the street in Oviedo. Another thing, at this time I just went and showed up, like, how's it going? I'm a UCF student and I'm working on this. I had some questions, and I ended up talking with the Vice President of Business Development and the President and CEO of the company, and talk about what they're doing. Then they let me fly all their simulators that they had in the house. So I flew a helicopter and a flight simulator. First time I used an actual FAA certified one, and it was amazing because it's not very simple. I mean, once you're up in the air, flying is relatively simple, but taking off and landing are the 2 hardest things. And most of the flight schools around here don't use simulators because they're so expensive. So if you're getting a private license, they'll just throw you right in an airplane and say, all right, let's go fly. So I'm glad I got to at least sit in one and fly one before I went and flew an airplane. But it's pretty crazy. That was fun. And then I went to, most of the time I just go to the flight schools. I'm doing customer development. So the people you're going to sell to, you want to hear their opinion on it. So most of the time they're not very good at getting back to phone calls or emails, and nothing really beats talking face to face with someone. So I just go and show up, and I end up talking to really important people, and then you never know what they'll offer you next. you're very personable with them. You don't want to sell your product, you want to sell yourself. You want to create relationships initially and become friendly. So this one guy, I think it was at a Apopka airport, he's working on this side thing with getting like younger generations interested in the military. So he has a bunch of 5-ton army trucks chilling at the airport and lets me drive it around. So like I said, you never know, and that's the fun part of being an entrepreneur. Yeah. So.
Do you have any tips for people who are going out and talking to businesses that you kind of want to partner with, knowing that at the end of the day you want some free stuff or some kind of, you want something from them, you know?
Well, the biggest thing is that we've never went there asking for anything. They just sort of offered it, and the tough thing, everyone asks a question when you sit down with them is, what can we do for you? And every single person. So they don't want to waste their time. So you better have an answer for them. And you better know who you're talking to, do some research about them. And maybe you can come up with an idea of what they can offer you for when you approach them. But like when we went to this motion platform company, I didn't go out there like, hey, can you donate us some stuff? And hey, can you buy this, or can you do this? I think it really needs to begin with the relationship, forming that relationship, and becoming friends or acquaintances, you know. And then they'll start sort of accepting you and be willing to offer things. But sometimes, like I said earlier, you can't get if you don't ask. So sometimes it is really important to have a plan on what you want from someone. So like with people you're talking to now, you have ideas of what you want from them. Is that something you're doing right now?
I'm just intimidated to approach businesses for my venture.
Yeah, and that's really the toughest thing, because it's not an easy thing, especially if you're not very extroverted and kind of like to keep to yourself a lot. So going out and talking to people isn't the easiest thing. And I remember the first flight school I went to was at the Orlando Executive, and I was sitting in my car reading over like the script I had and what I was about to do, and like thinking of maybe this won't work, maybe I'll just prepare a little more. But you just gotta get the courage and just go and do it. And that the first meeting I had, it ended up going pretty well, but you can get nervous. Everyone does, but it gets easier every time you do it. So like, once you do that first one, I walked right over to the second one. That got better. By the third one, I was walking in to a flight school, no problem. Like that, I owned the place. I'm like, hey, let me talk to your president. I got some questions for him. And that's kind of attitude you need to have. But it's definitely not easy. And like I said, I was very nervous the first couple of times. And over the years, I sort of grown out of being a shy person and being a little more extroverted and being able to just have conversations with everybody. And just, it takes some time, really. But like I said, so you just really need to have a script. Well, I've read this book. It's called Starter's Owner Manual. And basically, it's like a textbook. And it really lays out the specific steps to what you want to do. And the first half of the book is customer development. The second half of the book is customer validation. So I was following it. It tells you some worksheets to put together, how you approach people. And so I only read the first half of the book, because that's still what we're working on. But that's what sort of led me. I made this like customer problem presentation. And if you come up with what you think the biggest issues are in the industry, how they're currently solved, and how your product will solve them. And then some questions I had. Initially, my first copy of this had a question and then some lines under it, then a question, some lines. Then I find out quickly that you're in a discussion rather than like an actual interview. So I'm writing all over the place. I'm like, oh, this doesn't fit in this question. And then so it's better just have some lines available and some reference questions. But having something prepared like that really gives you more confidence too when you approach people. And just having some questions and just leading a discussion, because you want them to talk more than you. And so you can write down as much as you can. And I think it looks really good when you come prepared like that. Like I've used this binder. I've actually grown out of our old one. But I mean, this is all just from customer meetings, you know, just come in there, make sure you take notes every time you talk to someone, and make sure you review them and go back so you can take in everything. That kind of answers your question. Yeah, like I said, I'm really excited about that. And just to wrap it up a little bit, final advice: utilize the resources. Obviously, that's what I'm going to talk to you about. The campus has plenty, Orlando has plenty, and this is a great starter hub. So I think what's really beneficial is that with these resources is encouraging the students to actually go and do something with their ideas. Without them, why would you? It's too much of a risk. But I'm basically not putting very much money. I'm putting a lot of time into the business venture. Not a lot of money, but the time I'm putting into doesn't feel like work. Like when you're really passionate about something, you can be doing something and you're not realizing you're working. Every time I'm doing research on the industry and simulators and virtual reality, I look at it, I'm like, oh, I guess I am doing work, but it doesn't feel like it. So that's really important. Make sure you do something that you want to and you're passionate about. And I don't feel like at the end of this, if nothing succeeds, that I waste any time and waste any money because of the stuff I learned from it. So I think it's good. This is helping people utilizing the resources, helping people determine that they have a passion for entrepreneurship. Because that's what it did for me. I wanted to graduate, get a job, maybe go to grad school, but with opportunities that came up, actually, this is kind of a horror story, I guess I feel like, but everything worked out. I came to school down here, I had 2 really great internships, I got a really great GPA, knew a lot of people, and graduated, and no one could hire me. None of the internships could turn into jobs, and none of my contacts were able to hire me on right now. So this came up at the time, and while I was doing all this opportunities arose, so I was like, well, grad school would be perfect. So it all came together really well for me, but it's good to keep your options open, and this is what really led me to find out that I would want to start a business and be an entrepreneur. Because 5 years in college, where I was 22 years old, 23, and I've never once thought I would ever want to start a business or be a businessman or do any of that. And now that I actually started it, it's been amazing. You work a lot of hours, and it's hard, and just ups and downs, and you don't really sleep at night because you're so excited or nervous about something. But that's what keeps things interesting. So I really hope more students will realize that they have the bug and that the passion is out there. Business mentors, can't trust that either. Being able to go to somebody, ask them questions, get advice, because I've been running into issues like, I don't know what to do here. What am I supposed to do next? And this came up like, can you help us? And having someone to help you with that is great. Get out and meet people. I stress that a lot too, just because you can't start a business from your room or in the classroom. You really need to get out, be confident, get to know people, be friendly, just have contacts, That's really the biggest thing. And you never know what you'll get into. You walk in somewhere, it happens all the time, no matter what it is. It could be just like a simple meeting, but something good comes out of everything. And some of the guys on my team are very apprehensive about everything I take them to or that I'm going to, but something good comes out of everything. And you think that eventually down the line they'll start trusting me, but they still have things. But like, something good is going to come out of it, and every time I go to do something good comes out. So, and you sometimes need to find that something good, because just on Tuesday when we presented for the airplane manufacturer, they had the presidents had to leave really quick. We didn't get to talk to them as much as we wanted, and we had technical issues with getting the simulator up and running. But we got to talk hand in hand with a lot of university officials that put this on, and we got to catch them up on what we're doing. So that led to us getting invited to some more things, and just getting recognized from the university. So talking one-on-one with the dean, who was the first guy we talked to back in May, telling him all that we've done since then, just having that opportunity. So sometimes you just gotta look for things. Ask questions, but better yet, listen to those questions, follow that advice, and go and do it. Be passionate, because you don't want to work your butt off over something that you don't want to. And that goes with the job too. I mean, you just want to enjoy what you're doing. There's no reason to go through life not enjoy what your daily activities are. So another thing, learn from your mistakes and others as well. So we've talked to a lot of CEOs and presidents that have created their own businesses and what they did wrong, what they wish they didn't do, and what they would have done differently. So learn from them and listen to them and actually go and integrate their ideas. Here's a big slide. I didn't even realize how many books I've read until I started listing these on the slide. But especially when I was never a big reader, I hated textbooks, and that just really kind of ruined the reading for me in general. But then started with Lean Startup, the first book we were told to read, then led to Crossing the Chasm, and then next thing you know, I'm just reading all these books about business. I'm like, oh, I guess I really am interested in this. So all of these books have been really helpful, just sort of strategies that you can implement, ways of thinking as well, because going into this and being an entrepreneur, you kind of need to have a different mindset. And it's a mindset I didn't have before because I was an engineer. So, which I'm still an engineer, but like I said, the Startup Owner's Manual. Great book. It's because it is a textbook, so which I'm used to reading, and it really lays out just a checklist, a to-do list of what you need to do, how to do it, and that's been my guide. The Leadership Challenge, I had to read that for class. Actually, that was one thing I didn't point out was I decided to pursue a master's in industrial engineering rather than mechanical because it focuses more on leadership, strategic management, project engineering. So what I'm learning in class is really assisting me with leading my team through this. So that has been really beneficial. Right now, I'm writing a research paper on the effectiveness of motion platforms in virtual reality and the transition of training. So it's something that I'm going to be able to show my customers, like, hey, I've been doing all this research, and this is why our platform is something you'll want to buy. So doing that has been awesome experience. So that wraps it up.
Everybody give your neighbor a high five as well, just because. Thank you, Brandon, for coming out. Every single time you stop here. So this is the Blackstone Launchpad. Now, if you were in school, we would usually say come in for a startup appointment at the Blackstone Launchpad. But when you guys get to UCF, be sure that you guys stop by the Blackstone Launchpad. We'll help you launch your own idea, blog, fashion line, or website. All the UCF students, if you're not on our newsletter and would like to find out about these events before the rest of campus does, make sure that you see Phil in the back. Everybody say, hey, Phil.
What's up?
What's up? Now, if you like a one-on-one coaching appointment, you can see Shakira in the back. Everybody say, hey, Shakira. Shakira. I like that. I like that. All right, so we have a tradition that's been happening every single day since the Launchpad began. Every single time we have an amazing speaker, and we did. We all rise to our feet. Okay. I play some music, and we come to the front and take an Instagram picture. Is that okay? Are you guys ready?